All right, welcome back. Here's another video. Today I'm going to go over 3 ways that I shade my drawings. Into it. Most people probably shade just in a normal way, just by, creating a new layer, putting the layer under the line work, and just shading and then just blending in. That's okay. I still do that sometimes in certain cases, but you blend it in like that and then you erase to clean it up later. No, that's pretty sloppy, but I think you get my point. That's what most people probably do. That's great. But today I want to give you some other options or some other ways that I shade that could come in handy in certain situations. So let's clear this layer. Let me grab my mouse so you can see what I'm doing. Here's my mouse right here. So let's just delete that layer, start from scratch. Okay, so there's 3 ways that I shade, depending on the situation. So the first way I'm going to go over is just the basic way of shading. So here's my mouse right here. So let me start by opening up a new layer, putting it below my line work over here. And what I'm going to do is grab my custom pencil brush. I'll show you the settings so you can see why my brush is like that. All right, let me go up here. And you can pause the video to take a look at the settings. Here's a stroke. You can take a look at the numbers and copy that. A dynamics. And what else I got? That's that for that column. Let's go over to the head. Here we go. Flow, spacing, all that. Dynamics. Pause the video to get all that. Texture. That's just the basic texture that it was. Here you go. All right, in paint, I don't think I made any adjustments over here, but you can make sure that matches. In special, I left that alone. Now, the reason I adjusted this brush because I wanted more of a sketch look. It gives kind of a nice texture. So let me zoom in and show you what it looks like. See that? That's what I like. All right, so let's get started. So we're gonna work on this character right here. This is a crazy abstract character painting I did, but let's zoom in and focus on this guy right here. So I have a new layer under here. I'm gonna name this shade. There we go. Always keep your layers organized. All right, so I'm gonna just shade this how I normally would. Let me get rid of this so I don't accidentally touch that. I'm just gonna, I always shade in like a diagonal angle, just like this. Okay, put some under here. And I'll just do a couple areas just to give an example. I'll put some over here and inside the ear. And let's put some right here. And I'll put a little shadow right here. All right. We'll just work with that for now. Let me show you my blender. I love this blender that I created because it's actually like a paintbrush. And it just gives a nice painterly effect when I blend. So let me do the same thing and show you the settings for this so you can copy this brush. So click on that, and I just have it called Custom Filbert. I think the original name was just Filbert, and I just put custom. So let's go into the settings so you can copy that down. And in the stroke column, here it is. Make sure you get that. Pause the video if you need to. All right, let's go into the head. That's just from the existing pictures you can pick. I think that's the default. Here's the rest of them. All right, in texture, I left that how it was. In paint, I adjusted some of these, so make sure you get that down. In special, I didn't do anything. All right, let's get back to business. All right, so let's blend this in. Let me show you how I do it. Here we go. See how it's kind of light around the edges where the line work is? I'll jump back to my pencil, kind of throw some more in there, dab some more in there, go back to my paintbrush. And this brush, it gives, like, you can see the streaks. See that? That's that painterly effect that I like. That's why I like this. It's just my preference. I don't like a smooth airbrush look. I don't like that. It looks too basic. It looks too plain. But some cases that's good if you want an airbrush smooth look. But I always like a painterly look. It just, that's what does it for me. All right, so that's basically how I would shade this. It's sloppy, but we're just doing example purposes. My shading is kind of rough. Let me go to eraser. What kind of eraser do I have? I have a hard eraser. Let's go for a soft airbrush eraser, okay? And just clean it up a little bit. And you can use 3 fingers. You can't see my fingers, but 3 fingers up or down to quickly adjust the size of the brush. It's a really quick, convenient way to adjust that. I'm just cleaning up around the edges. Just give you all an example. Okay, I'll jump back in with my blender again. Now sometimes if it blends too strong, you can go in here and, oops, you can adjust the opacity, flow, and softness. You can do all that. Once you get your style down, you probably won't mess with that too much. But yeah, I like to go back and forth. I'm just showing you how my strokes are. I go back and forth, sometimes at angles and things like that, just to give a nice painterly look, like that. And then I smooth it out with the eraser. Whoops, didn't want to do that. But yeah, that's how I shade. And looks kind of rough. But the most important thing I want you to take away from this type of shading is I always keep my shades on a separate layer. I don't like to combine it on the line work layer because it's non-destructive that way. So I recommend that you always keep your shading on the second layer. That's what I do. Okay, now I'm going to go over how I shade using clipping masks. All right, this is one of my favorite ways to shade. So let's get into that. So what you would want to do is make a base color layer, and you'll see why in a minute. But first you want to create a new layer over here, plus for new layer, and make this new layer below your line work. Label it as base color. Base color, there we go. All right, so we got that new base color layer under your line work. And what you're gonna do, what I do is, first of all, I'll use a hard airbrush. And I'm gonna use a light gray, because it's just a base color, just so you can see it. You'll see how this works out in a second. And I'm gonna color in the whole, this whole character with a base color. So I'm gonna do that real quick. All right, so now that we have this base layer colored in, I'm going to show you how we're going to shade this using a clipping mask. So let's go over here to this base color layer and press plus for a new layer. And what you're going to do is click on this layer and press clip. Now what that does is whatever we paint on this layer, it's going to stay within your base color layer. So what I mean by that is, before, if you shade in a regular way, you just, you shade all the way out the lines, then you have to clean it up later. But with this way, with this clipping mask above your base color, anything you paint is going to stay within this colored area. And that's why I left the teeth uncolored. So watch, let me give you an example. So let's throw some shades in there. And you pick a black color, here we go. Make sure I got my my sketch pencil. Here we go. All right. So let me show you what I mean. So before, earlier on the first method, I was outside of the lines, but now inside the lines. Look at that. See that? So you may want to use this method. Now, what if I want to shade up here near the mouth? Right over here, look what happens. It's all within the gray. Okay, even if I want to shade up here near the hair. See how that works? So this may be a method that you want to use. Sometimes it's a better option. Takes a little work. You got to make sure your base color layer is pretty sharp. You got to clean it up, but you know, I like this way. I do this a lot. So let me blend that in. Even when you blend, it all stays within the lines. Let me increase my brush size, just like that. I love this way. Boom, stays right in there. Look how nice and easy that is. Just go wild with it and it still stays within the lines. So you could just throw your blender around and you don't have to worry because it's all inside the lines. Just throw it around. I got a big giant brush and I ain't gonna worry about any craziness happening. So this is pretty quick. Put in the work up front and it pays off. Look at that. Okay. All right. So look how fast I did that just because I didn't have to worry about going out of the lines. Since you did the cleanup work up front with your base color layer, you don't have to clean it up now after you place your shades. Okay, so that's my one of my favorite ways to shade. Let me give you another example on what you can do with the clipping mask. All right, another good thing about using a clipping mask is shading with a soft airbrush. You can get some nice edge shading going on. Let me show you what I mean by that. So let's go over here, jump into a soft airbrush. Here it is. Well, where is it? Somewhere in here. There it is. Soft airbrush. All right. Let me increase my size really big, like that big. All right. And you can get some nice edge shades. And you can like, right, here's my brush right here. When I bring it close, it's just bringing in like a soft shaded edge, just like that. So you may want that effect sometimes. Nice soft shade on the outside. There you go. No cleanup outside. Nice. Then you take your blender and clean it up. Let me increase that to about that size. And well, if you're going soft, you probably wouldn't want a rough bristle brush, so that was a bad choice on my part. Let's go to the soft one. And just like that. You want to just keep it soft like that. There we go. Look how easy that was when you got the clipping mask on there. That easy. So that's how I would shade if I wanted to use a soft airbrush and I wanted to stay within the line. Just throw that clipping mask on there and just do some nice edge shades. So the third way that I shade sometimes is radial shading. Like if I have a circular character like this, I sometimes might want to express the light source from this way, but in a soft, I might want to have like give it a soft looking shading effect. So let me show you how I do that. So you have your clipping mask right here above your base color. And what you're going to do is go up here to this icon and I want you to pick gradient, the gradient bucket. You pick that. And I'll show you linear later, but let's click on this and go to radial. Now, go to where you want the light source to be. Let's make believe the light is shining right here on his forehead. And click and drag. Oh, I messed up, didn't I? I need to use the pencil. All right, there we go. All right, so when I click and drag, it drags out the shade. Now you see it's dark there in the middle. I don't want that to be dark, so I'm gonna click on this dark area. I'm gonna change that to white because that's what I want my highlight to be. So click on that. I'm gonna use a pencil. Click on that and change it to white. See that? Very easy. Now down here towards the outer part of the radial, I want it to be dark. So you can make it as dark as you want it to be. So I clicked on that gray dot, which is right here. Click on that and change this color to whatever color you want. Look at that. I want it to be that dark. But say if you wanted to throw some color in there, you could do that too. Look at all effects you get. So if you want it to be a red to light red gradient, you can do that. Whatever you want. If you want pink, you get my point. All right, but we're just going for black and white in this example. So I want it to be that dark. And then once you have your highlight and your shadow, you can move it around. So check this out. You can drag it around like that. See how the circle gets bigger? You can reposition your highlight. What if you want the light to be shining on his head right here? Do that and then move the shade down here. Very flexible. Okay. Yeah, let's just move it over here like that. I like that. Okay, so it's shining over there. And we're done. When you want to confirm it, when you're done, just press the check button up here at the top. But what if you want something different? Let's try a different mode. Let's try linear. Let's show you what that looks like. So linear just goes from left to right, up or down, whatever angle you want to make it. See that? This is top to bottom. This is bottom to top, if that makes sense. Okay, so in this case, if I was going to use linear, I'll just put the dark at the bottom and the light at the top. I don't really like how that looks. Well, it looks all right. So you can go for that in this character too. Okay, so that's linear. We did radial. Solid is just solid. You know what's up with that. Sweep is kind of like a, let's see, in the middle. It's kind of hard to explain, but yeah, sweep is like it puts the highlight in a certain direction, and I guess you can see what's going on. I guess you'd put that on the nose or something. I'm not sure. I don't really use that, but that's what's up with that. And pattern, you could just throw in a fill pattern. I'll let you play with that on your own time. But yeah, main thing I want you to grab out of this is the radial, and that's what I use a lot. Okay, so I'm gonna press the check icon to confirm that, and it's done just like that. So I'll turn that layer on and off so you can see it. That's without radial, and this is with radial. All right, so that's radial shading. So I add my highlights the same way that I apply my shading. Same process. Now, you see I still have my clipping mask here. I mean, a lot of times I don't use the clipping mask for the highlights because I usually apply my highlights all over the art at the same time on one layer. But it's up to you, whatever's convenient for you. But I'll undo this clipping layer, this clipping mask. Just reverse it, just click it, and it goes back to a normal one. And I will apply some highlights. So I'm gonna pick the white, pick my favorite sketch brush. Where is it? I need to organize this. It's crazy in here. All right, technical pencil. That's just what I named it. All right, and just show you that I apply it the same way. Where am I gonna throw this? I'll throw some on the forehead. So I always use my diagonal pattern like that. And what I like to do is just apply them everywhere I think they're gonna be first, so you don't get stuck on detailing and waste a lot of time. Just lay down your highlights and just do a quick layout like that. That's what I do. So you get an overall look at where it's gonna go. All right. Okay, so I lay it out just by scribbling in my highlights, and then I take my kind of painterly brush right here, and then I blend it in. So let's get in here and blend that. So this is how I apply my highlights, just like that. Now if I was really serious, I would do it better than this, but I'm just showing you how I get down. All right. So all my work this is how I add my highlights and shadows. Those are the methods I use. That's how I do it. And that's how I get the look that I have in all my work. I use my that pencil to put in the shades and highlights. And then I always blend everything in with my kind of bristle brush right here. So you have all the settings. These are my two main things I use. Technical pencil and custom fill, but those are just the names I put on them. But yeah, that's how I get my work to look the way it looks. In all this line work, I used the same pencil brush. Okay. All right, so that's all. If you learned something, drop me a like and subscribe if you want to see more equipment videos.